You already mentioned that on the record perhaps there are creaking doors and slamming windows and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
What's your favorite starting point when it comes to making music? Something like that? Or?
Yeah, my favorite starting point is just the most unpredictable object. So every now and again I try and either get something that, just try and write a song from a starting point that I haven't started before, just so that the result is always different. I like instruments that have a bit of chaos to them. Like I bought on eBay a few weeks ago, I bought something called a psaltery, which is like a harp, like a Greek harp. And it's obviously, it's not a real one, it's like a shit one. And it's made in Poland actually on the back. And it arrived, I don't know how to tune it, I don't know anything about it, but I kind of screwed some parts together to tune it into a new scale. And I use that as a starting point for a track, just field recordings of that. I think if it's something that, if there's too many presets and it's too much like GarageBand loop 6 preset 4, you're never going to make anything new. You're just going to make the same song.
You'll just do everything to avoid the beaten track.
Yeah, exactly. I think you have to.
Is that an ideal you have as a band? Or
yeah, absolutely. I think anything that people are like, you know, the whole advantage of the fact, oh well, you can have access to any song, go on SoundCloud, go on YouTube, go on Pirate Bay, get any torrent of anything and consume it, it's a really powerful thing, but also it means that people have a lot more wider horizons. Like once you had one record shop, and in that record shop they only had 100 records, and only this type of record sold, so they only bought that kind of record. And there was this group of people that hung around in this bar and listened to this band, and pretty soon, you know, it was very narrow in terms of, you know, it was an amazing time, whatever it was, but it was quite a narrow field of what was out there. And people complain about the record industry dying and, you know, people not buying albums, but you can listen to anything. And so I think that you really need to stand out in some way as someone's absorbing all these elements, because otherwise there's nothing good about all this technology and file sharing. Like the good things that come out of it is this kind of variety, and a band, I guess, has to reflect that now.
But listening to this, is avoiding cliches then the way to go?
Making your own cliches.
Making your own cliches, yeah. So what is the Breton cliche?
Well, I guess I'm sure there'll be some comments underneath the video that you can grab. I don't know, the cliche or the things that we're trying to achieve are quite old-fashioned. You know, we're just using things that are around us to make our own sound or our own little path through music and films.
You went to Iceland.
Mm-hmm.
Is that because you couldn't finish it in London, or just for the adventure of it?
It was a bit of both, really. It was because we finished the album, a version of the album, which was the same songs and was everything that the album is now, except it was, you know, it was very insulated in this world that we'd sort of built for ourselves. It was London in 2011 when we were recording it. These people in this room, these instruments, which was cool because we were quite proud of the fact that it didn't lend itself to one thing or the other. But then we realized it had become its own like monster, and it just, when you went, you know, it would only make sense to us, and that kind of, it's important to me for music or any kind of media to sort of to feel personal to everyone at the same time as, you know, quite a private thing. So I didn't want to make an album that it just made sense to you if you were male in London, in that room, listening to these bands, listening to those DJs and going to those clubs, because that kind of defeats the point of this idea of this technology leveling the playing field and taking away all this elitist, cliquey kind of, you're this kind of band, you're this kind of label, you're this kind of thing. So going to Iceland was like a protest against ourselves, I guess. We were just so annoyed that it sounded like urban, industrial, London, post, whatever, that we thought, actually it was a suggestion of Alex, who's the boss of our label, who said, go to the complete opposite side of what that is. So London's grey, we live in this disused bank that's falling apart. It's surrounded by electronic music and synths and abrasive, aggressive sounds. So go to Iceland, to Sigur Rós studio, where it's sunny, 24 hour, it's 24-hour daylight, so it's just always bright. There's, like, the studio is a swimming pool that they've changed into this amazing studio. It's like gorgeous, comfortable, everything's warm, cozy, and like there's instruments everywhere, but all Sigur Rós' instruments, so everything you touch sounds amazing, sounds beautiful, sounds like Sigur Rós. And then all the equipment is old, specially selected, like vintage gear. Outside is like sheep and goats and horses and waterfalls and at the foot of a mountain. It was just giving that last bit of colour to the album, I suppose. It was important.